Welcome everyone to another Conversations in the Void. I am always Graveyard, joined by my off-screen producer Salem. Say hi to Salem in the chat if you're watching live. If not, leave a comment and talk to him below. I'm excited for tonight's episode. We've been trying to get him on here for a couple of weeks, and we finally got this happening. He is production designer, actor, special effects aficionado, and director of the upcoming movie Solitude. So please give a warm welcome to Mick Strawn.
Hey!
Hey, how's it going?
What the hell happened? How did I wind up here?
I know, you got lost in the void.
Wait. Am I dead?
Yes, this is purgatory.
Hey, they got my beer down here.
How you doing tonight, sir?
I am doing great.
Awesome.
I'm still battling the battles of the Solitude film, but I'm sure that will continue for a while.
Yeah, it's we'll get into that, but I want to learn a little bit more about you. So we doing what you're doing with the work that you've done lots of work across many franchises and lots of them horror too. Was there any movie in particular that made you go, hey, I want to do this as my career? So whether it's production design or art design, prop making.
I just kept getting dragged into it. And every time I got dragged into it, I would move up because for some reason, this is hard to explain. And it sounds like I'm an egomaniac when I say this. But the thing is there are some people that just get into something and they go, oh, well, I'm a natural at this. And I don't know why, but film business is it was that. And my understanding of it kind of got me locked into doing horror because I love horror because it's complex. Mm-hmm. It's got all these moving parts, and I love being part of. I've done special effects, I've done production design, I've produced, I've directed, I've second unit directed, all these things. I just love the machination of it,
Mm-hmm.
And that's I don't know if that's a good origin story.
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
But it's just the very first time that I ever stepped on a set, I went, oh yeah, no, I know how this works.
So, I mean, did you go to school for it, or is this something that you just went in there and picked up along the way?
No. It's funny. Back in the day, it was sort of like I got onto a set, and the first thing that I created was a resume that had 5 years on it already. And then using that tissue of lies, I just remember the hurt that was upon my soul when I'd been in the business for 10 years, and I realized that was really about time to take that first 5 years off of my resume. But then by that point, to tell you the truth, I really didn't need a resume. We were all, if you were working in horror at that point, in that time, mm-hmm. and you knew what you were doing, you were of a pretty, an elite group of sewer rats. I was going to say, it's like being the best toilet you possibly could be. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I used to say this all the time. I used to say, essentially we sat right in between the worst Hollywood lawyers, right below them and right above a porn actress, right? That was the elite little area that we had in the world back then. But we had fun. Oh man. Oh God. There's just something about like being part of the Freddy sets and having designed some of those shows, mm-hmm. and like walking onto a stage like Nightmare on Elm Street 3 or 4, where you would have walls on their sides and doing gravity gags and people falling. And I just remember times where I was on the set from Nightmare on Elm Street 4, and I would see Lisa Wilcox walk by, and you could see her in 4 different places around the stage, because we had that many stages going at once with doubles, doing things like nunchucks and falling and going crashing through glass, and those are all different people, right? You know,
Right.
so
Yeah.
you bam. Every day was like that. Damn it, it was just bam all the time.
So, I mean, for you working in the horror stuff, do you have a favorite scary movie?
Do I have? You know, I have to say I love. I guess if you went back, I love Frankenstein. I love Dracula. I love the classics.
Mm-hmm.
When it gets up to, I hadn't really seen the Freddy films. when I came on as art director on Nightmare on Elm Street 3, they showed me the first two, right? And literally I saw them in a screening room back then, because that's how we dealt with things, right? You know,
Right. Yep.
there was no phones and there was no, you know, VCR or anything like that. You know, you literally went to the screening room, and I saw them both by myself sitting in that room, right? You know, that little room that you always see, you know, the projection room.
Yeah.
You know? And I kind of liked the first a lot. I kind of liked the first 15 minutes of the second one, and then I couldn't figure out what the hell was going on. But I really appreciated Robert for being an actor, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, I don't, you know, sometimes the film that scared me, and I don't know why, maybe it was where I was at or anything like that, would have been later on. The one that really scared me would have been The Ring.
Ooh.
But if you go backwards, the one that really scared me was a 1958, 57 film called The Skull. Because I saw it. I was my brother had gone into the drive-in, and and we were all hidden under blankets in the back, all the little kids, right? You know?
Right.
And there was something about watching this really badly rotoscope skull come down the hallway, and it was green, right?
Oh yeah.
I think Vincent Price was like standing here like this, and the skull's coming up behind him. That scared the hell out of me. And then that was replaced eventually by the girl coming out of the well in The Ring, right?
Oh yeah, for sure.
That film was so good. But I love the nightmares. I kind of like the fantasy end of it, you know. I mean, always saw the nightmares as being a very especially the third and the fourth as being kind of a cross between a horror film and the Tales of Aladdin. You know, because you had this journey element to it, right? You know,
yeah.
And I love that journey. I love making that journey. That, you know, when I did 3 and then 4, the elements that I got into as design elements were that the most important element was the trip. It was the journey. You had to go through as many amazing things as Aladdin had to go through, right? You
right.
know?
Yeah.
So a lot of the things that came up in those, you know, I was the one who came up with them so that we could see them, right? You know, that we had this, because that's where the interest in the film was to me, was like all the stuff that happens in between, you know?
Oh, for sure. For sure. And I was lucky enough, you know, a couple of weekends ago was Days of the Dead in Chicago, and the cast of Dream Warriors was there. So I got to meet Heather Langenkamp and all the other people in that. And it was amazing.
Yeah. All my buddies.
Yeah. I mean, I'll have to get you to sign my Laserdisc. I have it at some point, hopefully.
Yeah. No, I get posters all the time whenever I go to a con. You know, the posters from 4 and 3 come in. You know, they're great.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Like I said, you've done amazing work. I said I have links for people that want to see your work in IMDb down below in the description. But you know, you create a lot of stuff I grew up on, and it's just amazing. It really is.
Yeah. Oh yeah. You know, it's like I tell people that Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3 was the only one that wasn't filmed in Texas. It was actually filmed in California, up above Magic Mountain.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I literally designed and built the house. I designed and built the gas station. Designed and built even the little house in back of it, the little shed that he does the see and say. all the way down to the moss in the swamp and the fucking truck. All that was mine. So,
oh wow, that's impressive. It really is, because I mean, I've seen some stuff. I do work with indie budget horror movies.
right.
You know, we just do what you can do just to scrape by, but to be able to see, you know, that work, you know, to make it look like Texas, not in Texas.
We literally had huge thin plywood derricks that were in back of the gas station. I mean, people said no. See, I've had arguments with people say they had to be Texas. There was like one of those pumping things for oil. I go, yeah, it was literally made out of cardboard.
Wow, that's impressive. It really is. And I like I said, I think it shows with the work you've done. You know, my wife's favorite movie really of all time is Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Well, you know, here's the interesting thing about Buffy the Vampire Slayer is I was there with Josh at the beginning, and I was going to design the whole thing. Then it turns out that Josh gets fired off of it, and the first person that gets fired is the production designer, right? So yeah. I got fired off the show too, but then they kept having me come back and help with the rigging on the stage and stuff. So I wound up doing a whole bunch of the effects rigging for it. So who knew?
You worked on the movie too, right?
That was on the movie. Yeah.
So did you? My wife had to ask me to ask you. Did you create the prop where Pee Wee Herman got stabbed and staked the whole dying scene?
I did not. Most of my rigging was flying and fighting in the courtyards out there.
Mm-hmm.
You know, in the courtyards and the schoolyards and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I did a lot of that because that was one of my things in life is knowing how to rig. Now, you know, as a designer, you work for about 6 months, and then the rest of the time I would make miniatures, I would do special effects, all that sort of thing. So
were you the one that made David Arquette fly outside the window then?
Yes, exactly.
Awesome.
Yeah. That's, you know, I never dropped anybody. Intentionally. I did get a chance to puppet why can't I think of his name? You know, the Suburban Commando.
Hulk Hogan?
Hulk Hogan.
Yeah.
Hulk Hogan had a really rough season of wrestling, and we were filming it in between that, and he couldn't lift his arms up over his head. So I literally was called to set and say, listen, man, we got a rigging problem here. We got to get him to do this, but we can't do it. He can't do it. He's got too many injuries. So I used a scissors lift and really fine piano wire and like puppeted him like he was a marionette. Now I'm telling you that you've known a lot of people in your life. You don't know anybody else other than me that's puppeted Hulk Hogan.
Maybe his wife.
Yeah, but she'll never tell.
Yeah, this is why I love talking to people in the industry, because I learned behind the scenes stuff, and I love learning all that stuff. I really do. I just find it interesting to see how things are done and everything. I like that would never occur to me that you had the puppet Hulk Hogan.
Yeah, or that it would come up, right? You know,
yeah.
It's an interesting business, you know. It's movie magic is a weird ass thing, I gotta tell you.
Oh yeah, and a tip of old school hat to you. I grew up on these films; they're a total inspiration. Thank you, YouTube user, whoever that is. I don't know, but yeah, that's
they were. Let me tell you, they were the Wild West days of filming. Some of the stuff that we did back then, you just couldn't do it anymore. But you don't have to. You got CGI, so you know.
Right. I mean, so with all the stuff you've done, what do you think to you was the most difficult scene to shoot?
Oh God. You know, it's really hard to tell because usually they were difficult to shoot because of the tools that we're directing or the tools that were
Mhm.
and by tools I don't mean tools, I mean tools
Right.
that we're directing or producing. A lot of
Right.
times that's who your big fight is, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. I
I,
mean, you have to
just
work with
saying.
them to make their vision come true,
Oh
right?
yeah, yeah. I mean, yeah, like for instance, I came up with an idea of a truck that hit nothing, and it wound up in Nightmare on Elm Street 4. So that was they were like in the middle of the meeting. I said, let's just have this fucking truck hit nothing. How about that? That would be now that would be interesting.
Yeah.
I might add that this was our like fourth meeting, about the same exact thing. And finally, we were like, well, what's the truck going to hit and what's going to happen? And I was, let's let it fucking hit nothing. And when I said it because I just said it like, right?
Yeah.
So get in the court. Well, what would that look like? And I go, well, it sort of look like you tie its bumper over here to a cable and tie that to a D7 tractor, put a camera right there and run the truck to the end of it. And that's what we did.
So I think that leads credence to what you do in your craft, that you are actually directing parts of the stuff too, because you have to make it work and
Oh yeah,
on camera.
Oh yeah, no, yeah. I am kind of like one of those people where a lot of times they would just hand it to me and say, look, just make this work. And I was, okay, everybody please listen to me so you don't get hurt, and I still care. Two main requirements.
Yeah.
Don't get hurt. Make it so that I still care by the end of it. All right. It's what it takes.
So, I mean, that kind of segues into like you are directing or partially directing Solitude that is coming out.
I am actually. I directed Solitude with Jeremy Brown, and Jeremy Brown dealt primarily with the acting, the acting and the writing together. And I dealt with the blocking and how the camera movements would go and what the lighting looked like and effects and stuff like that. It was a very equitable, and we did the same thing for Vengeance. That's kind of how we operated that, and it is such a good film. I mean, our actor Sam Vincent, amazing human being, amazing. She was so into this. I mean, so into this that the lunatic edge had come out, right? There was one time where she screamed. The first time she screamed so loud that it paralyzed the crew.
Oh, wow.
Everybody just standing around going, is she okay? Turned out she really wasn't.
Oh, that's not good.
She couldn't talk until the next day. She put her all into one scream, but we got the scream on film. So there you go.
There you go.
Yeah. Hey, looking forward to that scream. And we had interesting stuff and the tension and the monster and everything. It's just some great stuff. It really is.
Yeah. So anyone interested in seeing the trailer, I've watched it a few times. I have it linked in the description below. Go check it out because the premise, I will say the premise is essentially that, you are a survival contestant game show that is going on there and stuff starts to happen.
Yeah. Yeah. And then it gets weird. You know what? When I'm around, it's going to get weird.
Oh yeah. So without spoiling too much, I mean, tell us a little bit about Solitude, what that progress and progression has really looked like for you and the game.
Oh God, it was so hot out there. It was. we were up around Minneapolis in August, and their state motto is the buzz of a mosquito. It's sort of their state motto is ouch. So we were attacked by bugs and heat and I was having worked in film for a long time, I figured that I can do anything and stay on on my feet, and I only fell over once. But it was so difficult, and getting the story right, and Sam, I have to hand it to Sam. She was just awesome. She kind of got into character and didn't leave character, so
Wow.
she kind of methoded it,
Mhm.
and we had so many just great. It was a very small crew. I think that we had at any given time we only had between our crew, including all the cast, was 17 people.
Oh, wow.
So, and a lot of the cast left after the first few days, because basically the story is just her and her camp, and she's fighting something out there that's crazier than even a group of Republicans.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I watched the trailer numerous times. The first one, and then the one that just came out a couple of days ago, I think last week. And yeah. I had my wife watch it, and she goes, "This looks good." So we are at our house very excited for this to come out.
Yeah, we're still deciding. We're still kind of deciding how we want to go with the distribution. We just had Harry Manfredini finish up the music. He literally finished it yesterday.
I saw his name pop up on the feed.
We are syncing the film to his music. So we actually went all the way. It will have a complete Harry Manfredini score.
Wow.
And we have a really, really amazing couple of other songs in there that'll just blow your mind. And the whole premise of it, by the time you get to the end, you're just going, it'll be a ride, it'll be a complete, oh my God. Right. That's that's what we had intended, and I have to say this. I mean, I know what a good film looks like. I know what we were going for, and I am going to say 100% we more than achieved it. We really did.
That's like I said, impressive. Harry Manfred, that is a classic name in horror composure and everything too. He really is.
Yeah, I'm nothing to sneeze at myself.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and and the thing is this is from the guys who brought you Friday the 13th Vengeance, which only has I think 3.5 to 4 million views. So yeah. This is something that you really are going to check out. I've been watching an awful lot of really low budget horror, and God, we got to be better than that shit. I'm just saying.
Oh yeah, I think having done, like I said, done some myself too. I think if the story is there, it's fantastic. I think this is a good way for people to get into the filmmaking too. My thought, but I mean, like I said, the way this is shot, it looks like 100%. I'm going to go to my local theater and see this. It is.
Yes, we are working now on doing a theatrical release, and we'll have it in probably 20 to 30 theaters across America. Okay. And we're actually going to release it so that it can be its own pay-per-view. You can go to Solitude on Facebook, and we will be dribbling information along as to where you can see it post haste.
Awesome. Now, are you going to submit this to any film festivals too?
We are. We're working on that right now. I hope that it's funny is we're just mating the music together with the film now, so we're going to send it out. I have a lot of friends in low places, and most of them run a film festival.
There you go. No, like I said, I can't praise this enough just from looking at it. Like I said, I hope it gets a physical release because I like to collect physical media because I'm older. Okay.
You know what? We got you.
All right.
We're gonna have it. We're gonna have it all, damn it.
Awesome. Like I said, I can't wait for that at all. I love, the horror genre and just meeting people
And,
like
and this
you.
is this is one that I'm proud of. Now, here's the thing: is when I'm proud of it,
Uh-huh.
it's because I know the difference. This is the guy that brought you the blood scene in Blade.
Yes.
So I know.
Yeah.
I know what you want. I know what you want, and I'm going to give you more of it.
I mean, that is the opening scene is just spectacular.
Is and the director was so hard to get along with that I quit after that.
Oh wow. So I mean,
he was such a dick. Not only was he a dick, he was a British dick. And you know what? That's together. I think I could deal with an American dick, and I certainly have dealt with enough of them. But British, it's like, oh man, dude. I don't mind the fact that you're such an asshole, but you're doing it in such a nice accent. I just want to kick your butt.
So I want to, can you give us some behind the scenes of how you pulled off the blood scene though in Blade?
Oh yeah, that was really quite an experience. It took us about 3 months to work out how. The interesting thing about it is that we wound up pumping using enormous pumps, and we had to have 3,500 gallons of it in reserve to run through the entire system on a set, because that was all set.
Right.
And it recirculated. The blood recirculated and was then chlorinated and went back through again. And it was so thick that, when you're looking at those heads,
yeah,
you look at the heads and you think that they are the typical heads and that they're about this big around, right?
Yeah, yeah.
They're not. In order for us to push something through that thick and make it look like it was water breaking out was to make them about that big around.
Oh, wow.
Right? Like really big, like 6 inches around. Of course, you can only see them isolated when they're up there on the ceiling, so you don't really know how big they are. But we had to balance that out so that we got the right look with the thickness and the viscosity of it, and still look like water and hit it and spray out like that. So it was a huge process. It took just so. We had. In order for everybody to get cleaned up and to get that off of them, we had for the fires in California, they have these rigs that are like just 6 showers in a row, right? And all hooked up to a big truck, and we had 9 of those circling the building so that all the party goers at the end could go out, get cleaned up, take showers, and then come back, because it literally took a week and a half to shoot it.
Oh wow.
Yeah, no, it was a huge deal. It was a huge deal.
I mean, you'd have to scrub the set too once it was done, right?
That's constantly, right? And then we had to kind of shoot it halfway in sequence because we could never completely return it to its pristine state. But it was every complication that you can imagine was there. It was a nightmare.
Yeah, I mean, I've worked with some fake blood. I know people have their own special recipes too. And obviously it depends on the application. If you want it to be thick and viscous or you want it to be sprayable, you have to have different consistencies.
Well, the difference that I wanted it to look like a viscous blood thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to it's like I've seen it done before, like, Evil Dead 2 kind of did this, where they used 500 gallons and it came out looking like Kool-Aid, right?
Yep.
And then the little rivulets would just run down their faces and stuff like that. That's the one thing I didn't want. I didn't want a little rivulet coming down and like this. It was like, boy, if I hit you with my blood, it was going to stay there.
Yeah. So did you create that recipe then that was used?
Oh, yeah. No, it was worked out over. It took us about a month to get it right, and then to adjust it for the large pumps and to get the right spray and all the rest of it. It was it was a piece of work.
Yeah, I can only imagine that maybe there were clogs even.
Well, no, they wouldn't, because by the time that we were done, we were running it through 1.5-inch pipes.
Okay.
Right. No. Inch and a half pipes with 3/4 inch nozzles that were hitting the plates, and the plates were the size of a tarantula. Yeah, no, that's not. I wasn't worried about plugging in the line, man. I was worried about trying to keep that stuff pumping through there. We had we had 3 enormous 4-cylinder Honda pumps running, all gasoline pumps running at once to try and make sure that it kept that much volume going.
Is that the most amount of blood you've had to work with on a set?
Are you kidding? That's the most amount of blood that anybody's had to work with on the set. You know, I heard somebody say, "Yeah, no, you know, the best was Evil Dead, and you know they used 2,500. They used 2,500 gallons." And they go, "Yeah, hold my beer."
Yeah. Now, do you bring that blood consistently across every movie with what you're doing, or do you
No. That was that. You know, the thing is you work it out for every case, right?
Mm-hmm.
Every case has got to be you know, it depends on what the rest of the lining is. It depends. I mean, there are so many more people that are much better with blood than I am. I am more work with mechanical and designing and kind of the big picture stuff. It's just in that particular case, that was what we needed, and I wanted a particular look, and I took it on to make it look that way. So,
oh yeah,
and I know for a fact that it was the right decision.
Oh yeah, it looks spectacular. It's probably the most iconic scene from that movie. It really is.
You know what? I honestly think that film was kind of like downhill from there. I mean, by the time it got down to where you were waiting for the blood to drip underneath the really bad CGI rock and shit like that, you're going, "Oh man, this is really taking a lot of time."
For sure. I mean, with your art design and stuff like that, I mean, have you ever gone, you're like, you know what, this needs, I know you talk about stopping the truck, you know, this needs to be more bloody, it needs to be bigger, better.
Oh yeah, but I mean, and I'm a production designer too. So
right.
The thing is I'm always doing everything with an eye to what the camera is seeing, right? Mm-hmm. You know, it's like the easy little things, you know, that drive you nuts. You walk in and somebody's put a sofa up against the wall, and I was like, dude, you know, that's such amateur shit. You know, you pull it away from the. I mean, everything like that is like the sofa shouldn't be against the wall, and the blood should be thick enough to be blood.
Right. Oh yeah.
I mean, come on, right? Don't we all just know that?
You'd hope so.
Yeah, so. By now, but I have learned that, you know, I have a particular eye.
I mean, with this and what you're doing with Solitude, has it made you want to be like to write your own movie and kind of lead it?
Oh God, no.
No.
You know what? I'll work with Jeremy, and we're in the middle of these battles and stuff, and I'll let Jeremy keep dragging me through this for a while. but I have to tell you, it's a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, I also did Pig Hill last year. Pig Hill is a production designer with Kevin Lewis, who did Willy's Wonderland, right?
Okay, yeah.
And starring R.A. Mihailoff. And that was nice, you know, to be the production designer on. And you know what's really nice about being the production designer is as soon as the last cut happens, I'm in my car. Driving home.
Right. Well, I mean,
I have a nice little ranch to go to. All right.
I know some stuff you're working on too. Is you guys are working on a Friday the 13th kind of documentary too? Is that correct?
I am not. No.
Are you doing another Friday the 13th film though? I thought was that, or is IMDb lying to me?
Oh, IMDb is. I'm sure that they're lying to you. You know,
okay.
Listen, IMDb. it's just so wrong in so many ways. And and part of it is because a lot of us guys who are old don't care about it at all. I just had Jeremy just today. He says, you know what? All you have to do is you get on IMDb and you have a professional account, don't you? Like, oh, God, you're kidding me. I only go on there like once every 6 months to make sure that everything that's on mine is wrong.
There you go. But you are working on Campfire though, right?
Yes. Yeah, I'm working. I've been advising on Campfire. Have worked the script around quite a bit. I do work on scripts all the time. I work on things with people. You know what? All I have to do is call me up and I'll start helping out. And it's a huge failing of mine.
Well, tell us a little bit about Campfire, because it looks like it was some shorts and it became a TV show for a couple episodes. Now it's a movie.
Yeah, it was a series of shorts, and we kind of tried to run a cohesive element through it, and it's basically the teller's point of view, right? You know, eventually the teller is involved in part of the stories that weaves in and out. So
okay,
I was it's a very cool script. I don't know where it's out right now. But I am working in and out of like probably 7 or 8 different scripts right now, you know?
Oh, wow.
Yeah. It's I'll rest when I'm dead.
There you go. That's a perfect time to rest, right?
Yeah. Well, you know what? Could be a couple of weeks. You don't know.
Oh, right. So, I mean, you'll have to keep me posted when you have, Solitude out with your work coming out, because we want to share it. Like I said, I like to get physical media and just promote you guys and everything as much as I can.
Absolutely. That would be awesome.
Yeah.
I will keep you involved. I think that we're over time. I think it's Johnny Silverhand, right?
Yeah.
Johnny Silverhand keeps putting up these little messages, 15 minutes, 10 minutes, 5 minutes, and then he just stopped. It's like he figures that I'm just not watching. Johnny, I know you're there. I can feel your pain.
Well, but let's get into our
minus. You see what he wrote? Minus 10 minutes.
That's my off-screen producer.
Well, I know who it is.
All right, but let's get into these roundup questions here to round this out here. Closing questions. For you, what's better, practical or CGI? I already know. I'm pretty sure I know the answer.
You know what? I love CGI, but here's the problem. You can't use CGI for everything. If it isn't set up with a series of practical effects, CGI can replace what we used to use as blue screen, which was always the last big shot was a blue screen shot, right?
Yeah.
CGI can do 2 things. It can work within the realm of to heighten little gags, right? That set up a big CGI gag. And also CGI is the perfect. It used to be that if we didn't get it on set, then we'd have to go back and we'd have eventually get it as maybe after filming or maybe in a small separate set of shots and would screw everything up. The thing about CGI is if we do our best on a set of practicals, because the thing about special effects is they're special and they don't always work.
Right.
So the nice thing about having CGI in your pocket is like when you're walking away and your pants are still on fire, you can say, well, maybe we better do this CGI.
Right.
And there is an ambulance here, right?
Yeah, for sure. All right. So for any IP or franchise that you haven't worked in, is there one in particular you would want to work in your career?
I kind of like it, except for they kind of like stole the idea of all my sets from Nightmare on Elm Street 3. But
yeah.
But I I like the weirdness and oddness of it, and the fact that it also took you to another world. So I think that if they wanted to do it well, that would be cool. I'd love to be involved in that. The second one that they did was just god awful. But you know what?
Yes,
that first one, I would love to be involved in a true second film of that. Not the one that they got.
There you go. All right. So, any advice for people getting into the field, whether it's production design, whether it's prop making, whether it's directing, writing as a whole?
Don't. No. You know what? Honestly, I've heard that before. I don't know what the business is like anymore. I mean, it's, if you want to go in and you want to get into the business, the competition is incredibly fierce. But one thing that I would say, and this is always true, if you want to get into this business, don't think that you're going to get into it in Delaware and you're going to do your best work from Delaware. Move to LA or move to Atlanta, right?
Yep.
People ask me all the time. They say, I'm in Colorado, and I was wondering, what would you say would be the best move in order to be in the business? And I go, like, not be in Colorado.
There you go.
Just saying.
Yeah, for sure.
So my best advice is this: get your ass to LA, get your ass to Atlanta, get the sweep the stages if it's required, and find out what you want to do from there.
Awesome. Well, where can people follow you and find you on social media? Where can people find out about Solitude too?
Solitude has its own Facebook page, and I think that you can get a hold of them on just type it into what's the other one? Instagram.
Yep.
Instagram or Facebook. There is a Brown Space Films website that also that's our company.
Mm-hmm.
But just put in the name Solitude and start following us.
Yes.
Me personally, you can always send me a friend request and I'll ignore it. Better to just look up Mick Strawn on Facebook and then just send me a really, really nasty messenger. You know, something just fucking mean. And that'll usually get my attention.
There you go. All right. You ready for your horror movie question?
Hey, here's my question. Okay.
You ready?
Yeah.
All right. In Friday the 13th, part 2, what does Jason Voorhees wear as his mask?
As a bag, wasn't it?
Yes, it is. Yes. Some people think it's the hockey mask right away.
Well, no. Those first two, the first two were special,
Yes.
Sort of little bus special, I like to think.
Yes. But you got it right. Awesome. So
there you go.
Thank you, Mick, for joining me tonight. And
listen, it has been a blast. You've let me ramble and do and hey, Johnny, how far over am I? Go ahead and type it. Let's see. I want to see him type it. Let's see.
You want to see him type it?
Yeah, because he said I was minus 10 minutes. I got to be way over that. Minus 15 minutes. That's me, man. I am. You know what people like to call me?
What's that?
Mr. Minus 15 minutes.
There you go. So thank you, Mick, for coming on. I've been Graveyard. Make sure to follow us everywhere at Pod Out at Night, and we'll see you next time. And make sure to not get lost in the void. Good night.
Cheers, guys.